Good morning, everybody. We're here another Hometown Heroes episode, and I know you don't see Rick, and it might seem kind of odd because Rick is always the one doing this intro. So he is actually behind the camera right now. He's going to jump in over here with us in just a little bit. But this week is Navy Fleet Week here in Fort Worth, and we have some special folks here with us today that we're going to learn a little more about. And it's these gentlemen are from the local area, but they don't serve here, so I don't want to go too much into that because I want them to tell their stories. So this week is very special. We have the Navy. We've been working with them since probably about November to get some things going this week, to bring them to different organizations, let them see things going on in Fort Worth, but also for the Navy to share their message on what the Navy does, what the mission is, how it's important, everything involving just really making the public more aware of what the role of the Navy is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with you. Tell us where you're from originally, things about where you grew up, school, everything else, and then why did you go in the Navy?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm CTI3 Ranit from Dallas. I grew up in Dallas and graduated from Bryan Adams High School in the east part of Dallas, and then went on to the University of Texas at Dallas in Richardson and graduated from there as well. Initially, I wanted to join the Navy in order to learn about IT, information technology, but after I took the ASVAB, they said, "Hey, do you want to be a nuke?" And I said, "No, thank you." And then they offered me another job, and now I'm a CTI and really enjoying my time.
What is a CTI? Because the Navy ranks, I don't know. We've talked about this a lot. The Navy ranks really kind of confuse me because you have the rank and you have the rate. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yep.
So the CTI, that's the rate?
That's correct.
Okay, and what is that job? What is the CTI?
CTI is an acronym for Cryptological Technician Interpretive, and that is a linguist. And my specific language is Spanish.
Oh, okay. Very cool. So then with your rank, how does that, so do you always refer to that, or do you ever use the rank instead?
It's usually the rate with the rank, so CTI3 is what, if somebody doesn't know my name or who I am, it's usually like the normal form of address, at least in my office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. See, I learned something new. Okay, so and I'm going to hand you the microphone. I want to hear your story.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I am AWS2 Gomez, Roger Gomez. I grew up out in the Arlington, Grand Prairie area. I went to Arlington Bowie High School in Arlington. I graduated in 2012. For me, joining the Navy, I took about a year off after I graduated from school, and then kind of realized I probably wasn't going to go back to school from just working jobs and being in the local area. So I decided I wanted to make something, and I joined the Navy at the end of 2012 and left to boot camp in 2013. And I've been AW ever since I left.
And what's an AW?
So AWS is a naval helicopter crewman. Pretty much I am also a rescue swimmer. With that, we have two different types. We have what we like to call dry and wet crewmen. Our dry crewmen work with the MH-53 helicopters that we have in the Navy. And then for myself, I work with the MH-60 Sierras, Blackhawks for the Navy, and then I'm a rescue swimmer and crew chief in the back of those.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So Arlington Bowie, what are they known for? Are they known for football?
They're definitely known for football. It's like they're from the time that I started school as a freshman all the way till after I graduated, they've always been known for football.
Yeah, I was like, I know that name for some reason, and it has to be because high school football is so big. Did you play football in high school?
No, ma'am. I was more of a basketball fan, to be honest.
Yeah. Basketball is not quite as big in Texas as football is.
That's correct.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. So when you guys were growing up, and I'm pretty loud, so I'm probably pretty good with all of your microphones. When you guys were growing up, did you have a lot of influences in your lives that made you think about the military as a choice, or how did you come up with that? in your from growing up here locally and now wearing the uniform? What was it that kind of led you there?
Sure. In my family, there is a long heritage of Navy service, either as a civilian or as active duty. Both of my grandfathers, I'm Filipino, I was born in the Philippines, and both of my grandfathers worked for the U.S. Navy as Filipino citizens while they were there. And then a number of my uncles were in the Navy. One of them was a CS, he retired as a senior chief. Another one was an ABH, and he retired as an ABH-1. So that presence of the Navy being in my life has always been persistent growing up. It's always been an option. So yeah, that was one of the things that kind of led me in that direction.
Wow, yeah. So family history tends to be a part of that. Did you ever consider any other branch, or was it just always very focused on the Navy?
Well, out of high school, the Air Force was recruiting heavily at Bryan Adams High School, and they saw my ASVAB score, and they're like, hey, we want you in. And I was like, well, if I get accepted to college, I'm probably going to go to college, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Those ASVAB scores really do make a big difference. And then when you're in basic, they give you that linguist test. Apparently, I didn't do very good on that because I wasn't a linguist, for sure. What about you?
For me, my family was a mix of military and non-military. I know on my dad's side, my grandpa Phil was in the Army, and then my mom's side, my uncle was in the Navy in the early 90s to early 90s to 2000s as well. So it's been kind of a mix, and then I had a lot of friends that are a little bit older than me that all joined the military as well. So I always had at least some type of military background, friends to family.
So did you ever consider another branch?
I thought about doing the Marines. I had a few buddies of mine that are prior Marines and everything, and talking to them, kind of getting more information on everything, kind of told me like, okay, maybe the Marines isn't a good fit, and then I decided to do the Navy. And when I joined at the time, I signed up originally as an AO, and then I heard about the special programs that we have for crewmen, SEALs, with the Warrior Challenge that they do all across the U.S. And originally I tried to be a SEAL, couldn't swim how they wanted me to swim. And then my recruiter told me, like, hey, we have rescue swimmer, go ahead and do that. See if you could do that. And I was actually a better freestyle swimmer than I was to be a SEAL, so I was like, all right, I'll do a rescue swimmer.
What's the difference?
Difference between
how you had to swim to be a SEAL and how you had to swim to be a rescue.
So it's just we had to do a side stroke or backstroke for SEALs within a certain time that they have to get their contract. Because pretty much to get the contracts for the Warrior Challenges, you have to be chosen. You have to put up good numbers. You have to make sure that you're physically fit and able to do it before you can get selected to be a part of these programs. So for the SEALs, SWIC, EOD, and diver, they were all side strokes were their primary to swim, and they had to be under a certain time. And then for a rescue swimmer, I was able to do freestyle, and kind of find out I'm a better freestyle swimmer than I was a side stroke swimmer.
Did you swim your whole life, or was that just something you took up when you joined the Navy?
That was something I took up when I joined the Navy. I just was always, family always said I was a fish growing up, and then I just decided to, hey, let me try it, and got better as I got older.
So you were able to better develop that skill.
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So where are you stationed now? Are you both stationed in the same place?
No, I'm stationed out in Norfolk.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So do you go out on? So a lot of us, we have the Joint Reserve Base here. Mm-hmm. So we're always like, okay, so we really don't have any place for any big boats here. Any ships? I know when I call it a boat, you guys probably do that to people too, right?
Oh yeah.
No, it's not a boat. It's a ship, but certainly Lake Worth isn't going to accommodate a naval ship. So, and I've only been through Norfolk. That's it, going on a deployment. I left through there. That was my whole experience with it. So do you go out to sea? Do you predominantly stay home?
Yeah, so for me, I'm originally with the squadron, so through my pipeline, through my career, we started out in Pensacola. We have our rescue swimmer and everything there. As we progress, we go to our fleet replacement squadron that I'm at now, how to be a crewman. And then from there, we go to our actual squadron for us to pretty much train, progress in our career. For me, in the start of my career, I was at HS 11. That swapped to HSC 11. Came up from Jacksonville to Norfolk in 2016. And I deployed on Harry S. Truman, actually, in 2018. And I did the split deployment in 2018 there, and then in end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we call it our COVID deployment because we hit the COVID deployment. And then after I left the Truman with the carrier, I then transferred to HSC 28 to where I actually was attached to the LCS, the Billings. It's pretty much the same ship as what they have for the LCS Fort Worth.
So LCS is
The Littoral Combat Ship.
Yeah, because this I'm like I feel like I'm listening to a whole other language. Like this is why I say the Marines, the Air Force, and the Army. I can understand all that speak, but then you guys, it's like a whole other level of speak. So how many years have you been in now? You've done a lot.
I recently just hit my 11-year mark in March.
Wow, very good. We're going to come back to some of your deployment stuff. So tell me about you. How many years have you been in? Where are you? Have you served on sea, or where have you been serving?
Okay. I've served for a little over 3 years. My 3-year mark was in September. As far as my rate and the job that I do, it's very much a land-based rate. So I don't really go on deployments. My job is basically, I work office hours, like almost like a 9 to 5. So that it has a very regular schedule. There are deployments available to people in my rate, but that's something that you have to sign up for and get selected for.
Is that something that you're considering in the future?
Yes, I would love to do that. I just want to broaden my experience while I'm in the Navy and see what it has to offer.
Yeah. So you're still trying to decide if this is a full career, right?
That's right.
When you get to about 3 years in, you get 3 to 4 years in, you start going, do I want to stay? Do I want to go? When you get to 11 years, you pretty much need to make the decision that you just need to finish.
I already made that decision. I'm going full 20.
Yeah, because had I been smart and done that, I wouldn't have had a 20-year break in service, you know. So I did 7.5 active duty, and then almost 20 years later came back and finished in the Air Force. So you don't want to do that. You're already you're over the hurdle, right? So deployments, is there anything in particular that you think would be interesting about a deployment? Where might you go as a linguist?
As far as being a linguist, it just depends on the language and where they need you to be. So it's very heavily dependent on the needs of the Navy. Yeah, that's really all what it hinges on.
Yeah, I think in the past, if we think about the probably the mid-'80s and a lot of the things going on with all the drug in the cartels and everything else, I think we had a lot of Spanish-speaking linguists. Very, very busy at that time. And we have several roll call vets that have actually... Me? Oh, just leave it over here. But we have probably several roll call vets that have been in that neck of the woods, and that language ability is really, really important when you get to that point, right? So your deployments that you have been on, you've been on 1 or 2?
I've been on, I call it 4 deployments just because it was our split deployment, but I've been on about 3 deployments total.
And where did you go on those?
So in 2018, when I was attached to the Harry S. Truman, our squadron, HSC 11, we had an air wing that was attached. So we went to the Mediterranean. We were out there doing operations out there, and we were able to hit ports of Marseille, France, Portugal. We went to Greece, England. We trying to think of everywhere I've been, and then as that deployment finished and we finished all those, and then my 2019 to 2020 deployment, we hit just Duqm Oman with that one. I was like, when we went there twice, and then my deployment with the LCS when I was at HSC 28 in 2022, we were pretty much down in the Caribbean helping with airborne use of force drug counterdictions, working with the Coast Guard and the ports I've actually got to visit there, where I went to Cuba, I went to a French island called Martinique, I went to Jamaica, and then we were actually able to cross through the Panama Canal. So I went through the canal, went to Panama, and then we were in Ecuador, and then we came back, and then I was in Puerto Rico for about 2 months as well, helping out there.
So what was the main purpose of those deployments? So every deployment that you go on, there's something that you're doing. Was it, like I'm sure right now we've got some folks in the area with the Russia, Ukraine stuff going on. Don't we have some ships out there with the Israel-Hamas stuff going on too?
I don't know personally everything that's going on out there now, but I know with us it's pretty much just helping protect our allies, making sure that we're there, just basically just helping our allies and everything out there wherever we can.
Yeah, very cool. Because I've been on 4, and 2 of them to the Middle East, and clearly you have a lot of stuff that you have to do that most folks don't ever get the opportunity to see or to hear or to do. So when you get that chance to go on those deployments, there's so much that you learn. So much. Sometimes it broadens that career so much more that you now really understand what the benefit of what you do is to the country, right? So that's pretty important stuff. So Navy Fleet Week, you guys got to come home. How is that?
It's been great. I'm enjoying it. I've already seen some family, going to meet up with some friends probably later on today. So it's been awesome. When
did you guys get here?
I flew in early and got here Friday evening. I came straight from work and flew out from San Antonio. So I've been spending time with family and friends since then. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got here Sunday afternoon.
And you're here through the entire weekend.
That's correct.
Yes.
Until this next weekend coming up.
Okay. So what have you done so far since you've been here? Besides family and friends, what have you done to be out there in the public to represent the Navy?
So yesterday we actually got to go to the stockyards. They were doing a oath of enlistment for new sailors and civilian workers that we do have. So it was actually pretty nice to actually be out there and show face. And then we have a full schedule. It's barely Tuesday. I was like, we're here today, and I was like, we have a full schedule ahead of us to still show that we're still here and everything.
Yeah.
Were you out in the stockyards during the eclipse? Did you get to put your eclipse glasses on and go?
Yeah, so I was like, it was actually pretty nice to see that.
Cool.
Yeah. And then yesterday afternoon, we were over at Hope Farm doing some volunteer work, just helping clean up and do some maintenance with them. And then they run a really great program to help young boys that don't have fathers in the home, just to give them some guidance and structure. And it was really great seeing what they were able to do. And so we got to spend time with the kids. They challenged us to a game of basketball, and we're like, okay, we'll play. So it was a really fun time.
Our special guys, I'm sure, were there playing basketball too. So Rick and I, Sasha, you met Sasha then.
I believe so.
Yeah, the director out there.
Yes.
And Hope Farm, is that not absolutely amazing?
No, it's amazing. I was really surprised with what the program they had to offer when they were telling us the history behind it, and then the location we went to that's been there for 30 years. And
yeah.
I mean, growing up, I've never even heard about it, and it was awesome to see a big change that they're doing out here.
Yeah, there was at least one of those little boys I wanted to take home with me. So Rick and I have been out there a couple of times. We've taken folks out and gotten them out there and engaged. And Hope Farm really, really does that amazing work. Like you said, these guys, this organization is taking these young children from a very young age and really raising them up, but not just helping with those boys, but the mothers. Did they show you through and show you where the mothers go? They have a whole space for the moms. So they do a whole program, too, to make sure that the moms are supported.
Yeah, they did mention that, and they went in detail about it. And just to keep the mothers in the loop and I think they were talking about once the boys reach their teenage years, it's easy for them to just, go off and do their own thing and say, oh yeah, I went to Hope Farm today, but they didn't. But once the mothers are informed and they're part of the process, it gives them more accountability and keeps them in that pipeline for a longer period of time and keeps that guidance for them to hopefully guide them to better future, either in college, vocational, trade school, or into the military, which is what they're aiming for.
Yeah, absolutely. Now they're building the trade school. How's that coming? Did he show you where they were building the trade school over there?
Yeah, it's still coming. I was like, they're still getting it done. They have all the equipment there. They just said it's a little slower process again, having the storms and everything that have been passing through. They're just like kind of been on hold, but they did show us like everything that's going on out there with the trade school.
Yeah, so you think about when a young man goes there, they have to make a commitment to, as you said, go to college, go to trade school, or go in the military. And they can't currently offer all of the trade schools there, but eventually, as they get that built, they'll actually be able to have their trade school right there. And how cool is that? Because one thing that we know is that we are not flush with a lot of tradesmen, right? We need electricians, we need plumbers, we need folks to do construction, all those trades that so many young people said, I'm going to go to college, I don't want to get my hands dirty. A lot of white collar workers, but not a lot of blue collar. So today, a blue collar worker can make a really great living. So to be able to give that to them at Hope Farm, it's really neat. I know Rick and I have a real affinity for that particular place, which is why we recommended to the ensign we were working with on this that you guys get out there. So I'm glad that you got to experience that. And anybody out there that's watching, if you've never been, and they can use support, they can use volunteers, they can use support and donations. It is just such an incredible place that really does change young people's lives. And these young men will grow up. They do a Valentine's dinner where they take the moms, the sons, they have to dress up. They take the moms to dinner. They have to, hold the chair, do all that stuff. And they're really teaching them how to be men and how to be the kind of men that we need in this country today. So it's really pretty cool. It's really a pretty neat thing. So that was yesterday, and you went down the stockyards. What else you do in the stockyards? You go to Billy Bob's, or had you guys been there when you were younger and it was no big deal?
To be honest with you, I haven't been to Fort Worth in terms of like just being here for this long a duration. When I was working corporate, I would be in Fort Worth, but I would just be in the area to see clients and not really like taking the sights and everything. So just being here has been a real pleasure. It was my first time going down to the stockyards and seeing the cattle run, and I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Wow. So, yeah, very much a hidden gem, at least in my eyes. I'm a Dallas guy. No offense, Rick, but but I've been stuck in Dallas most of my life, and like I never really made my way to Fort Worth. So it's been a great pleasure to come check it out and see all the culture that is present here.
Yeah, so public service announcement for all the Dallasites that never wander over. Because a lot of us, and I'm not originally from here, clearly, you can probably tell that. But, I've gone to different parts of Dallas for different things and hung out there. So a lot of times Fort Worth people will venture into Dallas, but for some reason the Dallas folks just don't venture our way. But you grew up here, so clearly that was not your first time in the stockyards, was it?
Oh, no, I love coming to the stockyards. I was like, whenever I bring my family down and everything and we come visit, that's like honestly the first thing. I always want to bring them out, especially because my kids are starting to get a lot older too, and my kids love horses. They love all types of animals, and they end up just getting a blast out being out there. So I love being out there in the stockyards. I mean, again, I'm from Arlington, Grand Prairie, but Fort Worth was where I loved to hang out at all the time.
Yeah. So if you didn't get into Billy Bob's, you're going to have to make a return trip because you have to see the world's largest honky tonk, and it really is just you can't even imagine anything could be that big. Yeah. My sister came to town a couple of years ago from Chicago, and I took her over there. And Chicago's big in comparison to any city we have for the most part here in Texas, and you get her into that place and she couldn't believe the size of it. So it was really pretty incredible. So today you're here this morning, and obviously there's a lot more than 2 of y'all. How many of y'all are here this week?
They have us all spread out. I would probably have to say 100 of us are probably about here. I was like all from out the U.S.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible. What do you got on the calendar for this afternoon?
I know for our group that's out here that we have, I know in the afternoon there's a few of them that are doing a TCU luncheon out there at the college, and then later on today we'll all be at the city council as well.
At Fort Worth City Council?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, very good. And so you are all in that same group?
Yes, I'll be at the city council later this evening as well.
Okay. Very cool. That's a neat thing. And then tomorrow, what's Wednesday? My days are all going to run together now. What do you guys got on deck for Wednesday?
I know tomorrow I reached out to our chief out for the Warrior Challenge to kind of talk to some kids out there. Probably going to do a PT session and everything in the morning there. And then I know we have a still full list as well tomorrow. So it's like there's going to be a lot going on. And
so a Warrior session, what is that?
So the Warrior Challenge, it has, for us, is a special group of like for the SEALs, EOD, divers, air crewmen. It's a group that we kind of have to where we have to pretty much audition for our contract, I will have to say. So we have to do our certain requirements for us to receive the contract. And there's a few people out here that are trying to either become a SEAL, EOD diver, or crewman. And I'm pretty much go talk to them, let them know like, hey, what do I do for my job, and what have I done as well.
So where do they find the folks? Because if anybody's watching and they want to come out for that, how could they find out about something like that? That if they're interested in becoming a SEAL, how can they find out about participating in something like that to kind of spur them along a little?
So whenever they go to the recruiting station, again, they'll take from, I don't know how they do it nowadays. I was like, I know, but when I was joining, it's like a practice ASVAB. They'll do it at the recruiting station. They'll bring up to see what jobs that possibly will go fit with the practice one that you had. And then normally some of the recruiters will have a Warrior Challenge brochure to show you like the different types of other jobs that exceed physicality for the Navy as well.
Sounds kind of fun. The Warrior Challenge. If I was a little younger, I might try it. So, and then are you guys doing the same things tomorrow, or do you have something different on the books?
I believe we should be doing most of the same things tomorrow. I have the schedule in my bag and car, but yeah, every night when we get done with our events, like I'll review for the next day. So yeah.
So, but you are getting downtime in all of this, because I know I've seen the schedule. Is there any time you guys are going to head out and visit with the Navy skipper out here at the Joint Reserve Base?
We actually met him yesterday at the stockyards. He came out and everything as well.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And then on Thursday, I know what you're doing at night because we're going to talk about that. What are you doing during the day on Thursday?
Thursday, so again, I'm going to be probably going out to Texas Motor Speedway. Again, the Warrior Challenge is setting up for the Navy Week as well, so I'll probably be out there helping them out with that. Probably won't be in this kind of because they're going to have a pull-up bar and everything, but I'll probably be in my flight suit and everything to show them, again, talk to people like what I do. Yeah,
the weather will be much better on Thursday, much better. Today and part of tomorrow, not so good, but tomorrow. So Thursday afternoon, what are you going to be up to?
It's a great question. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Don't know. There's just so much. I looked at the schedule, and there is so much that you guys have going on. Yeah. And, of course, by Thursday, you know what's going to be happening at the Motor Speedway. The trailers are going to be heading there. This is NASCAR weekend.
Oh, sorry. I'm mixing my days up. Thursday, I'm actually going to be out in the Texas Rangers game Thursday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you can't beat a Rangers game.
Oh, no. Definitely not.
It's really something to be out there.
Especially in the new stadium.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've seen the old stadium.
Been to plenty of games at the old stadium, been plenty of games, seen everything there at the old stadium. Now to actually come out and see a game in the new stadium is actually going to be, I'll be excited.
Yeah. It's a really well done It's a great stadium. So Thursday night, we have War Stories. Are you guys both going to be at War Stories?
Yes, I believe so. I believe we're scheduled for that. Yeah.
Okay, yep. So I think we've got, she told me about 30 to 35 sailors will be there Thursday evening, and that's going to be at the American Legion in Haltom City, which, you know, is just, you probably know where that is. It's really not too far from Arlington and Grand Prairie. But it is a really, it's going to be a really neat evening. And right now what we did was we opened up 100 of the seats to bring in other folks to join you guys. So it won't just be you, it'll be about 100 other. Right now we've got 77 of those seats sold, and we've still got 23 of them left. If anybody out there watching still wants to do that, just, you know, Rick and I'll put that link out there again, or you can go to the roll call page, and it's got a link right there on the events tab or right on the home page where you can go and click the little QR code and you can come out and join us for that evening. And we're going to have 5 veterans there that night. And we tried to be very particular about the veterans that we brought out. So you'll have Mr. Don Graves, Corporal Don Graves. Have you guys heard of Corporal Don Graves?
No, I haven't.
World War II, Iwo Jima veteran. And he goes around all over, he's been all over the country and speaks and sings. He'll be 99 in May. And just will tell you guys some of his stories, because I know you guys have a thing, you and the Marines, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, I hear it from both sides. You know, Don always tells me that y'all are that they're the men's department, and that you should remember that the Marines were here first. So I'm sure he's going to say that to you. But you guys are brothers, right? Mm-hmm. So you're part of the same department of the Navy. So you'll get an opportunity to meet Don and hear some of his stories. You'll get to hear him sing, because he always sings, and he's pretty good at it. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to have our next 3 are Korea, Vietnam, and Gulf War I, the early 90s. Those are all going to be Navy guys. Mm-hmm. So you get to hear a little about their stories. James Vincent Jr., Rex King, and Dave Etter. And those guys are going to share a little bit of their story with you guys. And then our last guy is brand new to roll call, and he is Mike Nash. And he served in Iraq 06 to 08. And he's Army. So we couldn't quite find a Navy guy that wanted to get up on stage, but Mike is really interesting and a neat guy. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy that. And on top of that, we'll have a bunch of other veterans that will be there, some World War II. So we've got one guy, Jack Stowe. You got to meet Jack. He's a World War II vet, Navy. What ship was Jack on, Rick? Do you remember? I want to say the Pennsylvania. I'm pretty sure it was the Pennsylvania. But that guy lied about his age and went in at 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine doing what you do at 15 years old?
And Patriot right there.
Oh my gosh, he's hysterical. And when he starts to tell you stories the things he did, you guys will understand him because you guys speak the same language, the Navy, right? But he makes people think war was fun, because he was 16 and 17. He was 17 when he got out. So think about that, you know. But neat guy, you'll get to meet him. We'll have a couple of other Korea guys there, mostly Marine Corps or Army. And then we'll have a couple of other Vietnam and stuff in there, just so that they're at the tables and you guys can kind of go out and talk to them and hear some stories about the guys that came before us, right? And I retired in 2020, so I'm not that far removed from you, but these guys are much more removed. So I know you've got that on Thursday night. And then Friday, what I saw, when are you guys going out to the Speedway? I know you're doing Servolution. Is that Servolution Friday and Saturday?
I believe I'm going Friday. That's where I mix my days up. So Friday I'll be doing out in the Speedway for the Warrior Challenge and everything. So I'll be out there Friday. And then I know we also have a few other things planned as well for Friday.
Yeah. What about you on Friday? Are you going to the Speedway or Servolution?
I don't know yet. I know I'm scheduled for something. Every day is scheduled, but I haven't looked that far out, so I'm taking it day by day.
Yeah. So the Speedway, are you guys going to be there for the race on Sunday?
I'm not sure. I was like, there might be a few of us. It might not be us particular, but there might be a few out there for the race on Sunday. I believe our color guard will possibly be out there before the race starts, but there will be a few people out there.
And that's cool. So if that's on your schedule, that's going to be a really neat day for you too. Have you guys been to the NASCAR races?
Oh yeah, so I went when I was a kid. I was like, say it's a lot different.
It's in your backyard. You
like,
gotta go, right?
Yeah, it's a lot different now than it was before.
Yeah.
I haven't been yet.
You haven't been to a race?
No, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's one thing to watch them on TV, but it's another to actually be there in person. And Mark Faber, who is the person who runs that organization out there, he is just a real patriot, and he loves the military. And everybody at the anyone in motorsports, that's to the NASCAR world, military are way up here. Like these guys are real patriots. Don Graves will be out there. He'll be singing "God Bless America," so it'll be another opportunity to kind of see him in action. But that'll be a real neat thing for you. But Servolution, I know several of y'all are going out to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Servolution Network, they do a lot of work with helping folks here locally fix up homes and build ramps and just do a lot of things to really enrich the lives of especially veterans. Mm-hmm. So this area, I'm sure you guys know, is very veteran dense, and the community really comes together and takes care of our vets. Mm-hmm. So how are you guys feeling? Just, share what you're feeling and what you're thinking about this week and what makes it special that you get to share about the Navy with the public.
Honestly, I'm feeling excited. It's great that 11 years, the last time I was home, I was passing through from the Navy. We're flying our helicopters from Nevada from training, passing through. I was able to see my mom for like a split second, and then now the Navy was able to actually bring me home again, and I'm here for a week. So I'm excited for this week. I'm really looking forward to meeting everyone and whoever I can meet and everything. So I was like, I'm really excited.
Are you staying with family?
No, I was like, my family's all spread over throughout the Metroplex, so I was like, I'm staying down in Fort Worth because it's kind of an easier commute to get to everywhere that we got to be at.
Yeah, Very cool. What about you? How are you feeling about this?
I'm very excited because even though in San Antonio, where I'm stationed, there are a lot of opportunities to do volunteer work, it's a very different feeling to be able to come home and do outreach in the community that you grew up in and hopefully lead the next generation of people into a better path, whether it be the Navy or vocational trade schools or going to college, to just be able to have that kind of effect and hopefully leadership for the next generation. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely does. So how did you get selected? How'd you get selected to be one of the people that, because as you said, there's about 100 of y'all here to represent the Navy.
That's
and to
correct.
Make sure the public kind of knows what you do and how you impact it. How did you get selected to be one of those 100 people?
Well, at our command, or at my command, my public affairs officer just put it out for the entire command, like, hey, this program's going on. If you're from one of these cities and you have hometown ties there, feel free to apply. I put my name in the hat, and he said, hey, you're going to Fort Worth. It was easy as that.
That's the same with me. I was like, they put it up and everything. It's funny because originally I wasn't selected, and then about a week after finding out, like, oh, you weren't selected, they were like, oh, no, you're coming out. Like, we're able to have you out here. I was like, so it was the same thing, pretty much just got luck of the draw with the hat.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people in the Navy, right? And
Oh,
to
yeah.
be one of the 100 that got selected, there had to be something there that they brought you here for. So, because they don't want, just any old buddy, right, representing the Navy.
That's
you want to
correct.
have the best people out there representing.
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow.
I think part of it is, when I was talking to the guys over at Resource Management, they're arranging my flights and everything. It was like, we don't just send knuckleheads out to do these kinds of things. Like,
Right.
we want to make sure we have a good sailor that's going to be out there and representing us well. So I think it's just a reflection of what they want for the Navy and for, I guess, the command as well.
Yeah, because you're a recruiting tool also now, right? They probably didn't tell you. No, I'm sure they did. Anything else you guys want to share about how you're feeling about this week, or what it means to you to be here?
Honestly, I'm just really excited. I'm really happy to be home. Again, might have a busy schedule, but there's still a lot of downtime, so I was like, at least I'm able to do it. I'll miss my family, of course. But it's awesome just to be home and kind of just see how much the city has changed from when I left in 2013 to seeing construction when I would visit here and there to now. The city's huge, and the outreach that we can do and everything from just like you said, helping in our own community again, like now, is awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it leaves me kind of speechless sometimes because it's hard for me to imagine maybe 4 years ago before I joined that I would be in the Navy, but now I'm here. I joined older, and I graduated in 2001 from Bryan Adams, 2007 from UT Dallas, and to be able to share what my experience has been, and to also give some guidance for some people that are joining younger. I think being in the military is a great opportunity. There are certain things that if you're a military member, you don't get the same opportunity given to you if you were coming out of high school working at a job at 22. So because we in the military, we make up 1% of the entire population. Active duty makes up 1% of the entire U.S. population. We need people to be leaders. And when you're in the military, you get that opportunity to lead a team of 4 people and understand how to be a good leader and bring that forward, whether it's to the rest of your career, like AWS 2 is planning to go 20 years, or if you get out and start at another job, you can be 24 and have great leadership skills and be tapped to be a manager right away. Instead of, my experience was those doors don't open to me until I'm about 30, 31. So it's a really great opportunity. I think it's something that people should consider more.
And that's a really great point, because you're absolutely right. Young people coming out of college automatically think, well, but I have this 4-year degree. Surely I can just go do whatever I want, wherever I want. I'm going to move up in the ranks, and it's going to be pretty quick. And they quickly find out that that's not reality, right? Yep. They're not leading people. They're probably out running and getting someone's coffee is what they're doing, more or less. But in the military, at such a young age, you get the opportunity to learn how to lead. And that is a skill that you just don't get that young. Yeah. Probably not even some people in their 30s. Yeah,
because you're actually building up a skill set while you're in the military. Having been through college, it's a lot of just knowledge work and just you're working the theoretical. But being in the military, you're working all day, you're using your hands, you're interacting with people, you're building up practical skills, and that's what I think employers are going to be looking for, hey, can you actually deliver a product at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm. And the Navy provides you a lot of that development, right? So what kind of developmental courses have they put you through to teach you to be better leaders? Because not everybody, and we all know it, and it doesn't matter the branch of the service. You've got some folks that are always going to be followers, even in the military. But your leaders are going to rise, and they're going to rise for a couple of reasons. Mentors, which I would assume you both have. Great mentors, yes. And developmental opportunities that you get by being in the military. What kind of in 11 years, you've surely had some developmental opportunities. What kind of things do they do to help you be a better leader?
So more recently, I know the Navy just started this new program with leadership development course. It goes through all the sailors from E1 all the way up to pretty much 03 to 04 that they go and get these leadership development courses. Each course is specifically tied to your rank. So for me, I was able to do, I believe it was the intermediate leadership development course. And then basically as you progress in your career, as you make rank, you go to advanced leadership development course, you go further on. As well as for me, where I work, I'm also an instructor. So I'm basically building new crewmen. So I've been to instructor training courses. I've also done what we call EOSC in the Navy. So it's Expanded Operational Stress Control. That's also a very new program that the Navy has developed to help junior sailors manage stress better and try to know, like, hey, like, again, things have changed from the time that I started back in 2013 to all the way now 2024, that stress is a big thing that a lot of people are trying to, like, are developing a lot more and not knowing how to handle it, especially out of high school, being a young kid and everything, leaving home for the first time. That's another, like, good course that I actually got to be a part of and everything, to learn and help junior sailors, even some of our senior sailors that, like, are stressing so much that they don't know how to do it, and, like, hey, we know what we can do for that. And then as well, mentorship programs, go to mentor class. They teach you, like, how to be a better mentor, how to, basically help individuals as well. So I've done quite a few courses and everything, done a few programs and everything for the Navy, that I've been able to develop and everything as well, just to now being 11 years and where I'm at.
Yeah. And I think that's something that folks discount a lot about going into the military. They don't see, because we probably don't talk about that a lot in recruiting, that, these are great opportunities for you to learn some skills that are really transferable. Because when you retire in 20 years, you're still going to be 38 to 40, right? Somewhere in that ballpark, depending on how old you were when you came in. And you'll be a little bit older if you do go all 20. Of course, both of y'all may choose the route of becoming officers, and then I always say retire with the most rank. Mm-hmm. So whichever way you go, retire with the most rank, right? But those opportunities you just don't get in the civilian sector, or you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get those. Yeah. And here, the military is providing those to you, and then you can go out and do the things that you're doing this week, where you're actually being mentors and you're out there helping the community and you're serving. And that's just gives you that servant heart, which is so important too. Once you retire from the military, you'll most likely have to still work. So, why not have all the tools in your tool belt that you can to be very successful? So that's awesome. I'm glad that they're providing those kind of development or opportunities. And sometimes we don't hear about those. And the folks that are watching that may be considering the military, the Navy in particular, now know a little more about things that they wouldn't have otherwise known. And it might be something that spurs them to go talk to a recruiter now and see, is this something for me? Now, the one thing that you guys have that I was always glad I didn't have to deal with was, one, you have these white uniforms that cannot be easy to keep clean.
No, they're difficult.
And you have a lot of uniforms, different uniforms that you have to keep up with. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things about Air Force I didn't have to deal with. We only had a couple of uniforms. We didn't have to deal with all that, and we didn't have all the white. But we really, really appreciate y'all being here. And I think usually, Rick, what do you want to close out with talking about today? Because we need to get Rick in here and get him on the camera.
Thank
there
you, Mary.
He is. You guys didn't think he was here.
It's good to be here with two great Americans that are serving our country. We're just so honored to have y'all. As a linguist, we were talking, and he lived in Monterey, California, Defensive Language Institute. That's where I was stationed for 2 years at Fort Ord. He said the same thing I thought whenever I was going to go to California. I'm going to get to surf. It's too cold in Monterey to surf.
It's so cold there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. We went to the beach one afternoon after class, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be nice? I'll just, take my shoes off and just feel the water. As soon as I touched it, I was like, oh, no, I'm going back to the car. I don't think so.
It's too cold to swim. Yeah, there's an Arctic current.
My.
But you were talking about the different types of swimming and how the Navy SEALs have to learn to swim differently than a rescuer. And a good friend of mine, Medal of Honor recipient Mike Thornton, a Navy SEAL, if you don't know his story, you need to read it. He was dropped off. He thought he was in South Vietnam, but he was in North Vietnam. He was with another Navy SEAL, Tommy, and they had two Vietnamese with him. Got in a big firefight. Mike got some shrapnel from a grenade. Tommy got hit in the head. He got shot in the head. They thought he was dead, but Mike picked him up. Finally, I don't know how many people that they neutralized or killed, but it was probably 50 or 60 that the four of them did. He got back to the beach. One of the Vietnamese was dead. The other one was injured. Mike had Tommy in his front and the Vietnamese on his back, and he went out and started doing the breaststroke. It was 3 hours before he got picked up. So that's why the Navy SEALs have to learn to swim.
Wow. 3 hours?
3 hours. Yeah, you need to read his story. He's just a remarkable
Wow.
hero, and he lives in Dallas now. So, yeah. But it's just been a real honor to have you all here, and thank you so much for coming to the Metroplex to give the Metroplex a little view of how the Navy is. Now, Mary, we have roll call coming up.
Oh, yeah.
The reservation line is open. We're going to have roll call the 26th of April
Yep.
at NASJRB. Probably have 700, 800 people.
We're at about 400 right now,
Okay.
and that doesn't include so we'll be 100 to 200 of the folks that are actively serving on bases. We always do every year. And then we're at about 400 now. We'll probably be a total of about 800, I think, this year. And so the Navy is just been awesome working with us so you guys don't really know this because you haven't been to a roll call lunch, but our normal lunch that we have at the Baptist Church is about 450 to 500 every month. And it's free for veterans, and it costs the non-veterans $10 if they can pay it, just to contribute to the cost of the food. And we have a whole program with Posting the Colors, National Anthem Pledge. Pretty much you're going to see a mini roll call at the War Stories, but we're going to have 5 vets up there instead of just one telling their story. But once a year, the Navy skipper for the last few years has invited us to do this in a hangar. So we do it in the VR-59 hangar on base. And when they RSVP, they have one extra question that they have to answer. So those of you watching, make sure that you answer that question. Do you have base access, yes or no? And just having a VA ID card does not mean you have base access. So if you can't normally get on the base any day of the week, any time, then you don't have base access. You need to check no, because you're going to hit the gate. They're going to check a photo ID of some sort and measure you against a list of names that don't have base access, and that's how they will get on. So this is the biggest question that I'm getting right now, is how do I get on without having an ID? Well, that's how you do it. You got to put no, and then we'll have you on a list. You go through a specific line, and that's how they get in. And we just really expect about 600 instead of about 450 to 500 of our folks, and then 100 to 200 of the because in the Joint Reserve Base we have the Navy, of course, the Air Force Reserve, Air Guard, Marines. We have I think a small contingent of Army somewhere. You don't see them too often, but we have them out there. And so we invite folks from there to come and join us and enjoy lunch. And our guest speaker is Jim Thomason, who is a Vietnam veteran, and it's going to be a really interesting story. So it's going to be great.
It would be nice if they were here for roll call.
It would.
Maybe someday you can come back and visit roll call.
Yeah, even if you're just here on leave and it's the 4th Friday of the month. That's when we usually do it, except for a couple of months with the holidays. But if you're in town, you just once you experience it, you just understand.
Well, thank you all for being here. And Mary, you did a great job at talking to these young sailors. Young, I mean, y'all are old, but to me,
comparison
you're young.
to us,
Yeah.
You're young.
But thank you all so
Right.
much for being here and for representing the Navy and representing our country. Also, before you leave today, be sure and talk to Mary about the Hazelwood Act, because you're both from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And Texas can give you some education after you get through with your VA benefits. So, But thank you all for being here. Mary, thank you. And we'll see y'all next week on Hometown Heroes, and we'll be back to our regular format. So.
Yep, next week.
And then here y'all too go as well. As I want to say thank y'all for having us. It was this is something that we kind of do with the aviator community. Whenever we come and visit or meet new people, we kind of get a patch.
Fleet Angels.
That's the squadron that I'm at.
Isn't this cool?
Yep, that's the squadron that I'm at right now as FRS instructor, our fleet replacement squadron. Teaching, again, like I said, new air crewmen that want to be crewmen and everything. Teach them how to fly in the aircraft and how to do our job and everything. So was like wanting to give y'all some gifts.
Well, very
Thank you
cool.
very much.
Thank you. That is
I'm
awesome.
gonna move back to the camera.
Yeah, Rick's got to get back to the camera.
Turn it
So
off.
we'll be here for a second more. But really, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing a little of your story, and we really are very grateful that you're serving so that we can sleep at night.
Thank you for having us, Mayor.
Thank you for all your support.